Right, so we're picking back up again in ZBrush. We're just exactly where we left off. I've not changed anything. But what I will do is, because I think it's a little bit annoying, I'll turn off active symmetry because it's getting in the way. And let's have a look at some other things with our sculpt. Okay, so we've got this. We had our little cut in there. We added some surface detail. We've added some blemishes. So again, what I said was we need to be able to extract that out and be able to show that in Maya as surface detail. Okay, so let's just have a look through some of our tools. Now remember that we are 7 subdivisions in here. If we reduce this back down to 1 subdivision, we've lost all of that detail. It's gone. Bar perhaps a little bit of pinching across there, everything's gone. Okay, so clearly what we need to be doing is considering what it looks like at this level. Okay, so we'll keep it for now up there, although we will be coming down in a moment, I think. Okay, so other thing, we need to look at effectively what we're going to do, which is extract out a texture map, which will be a displacement map, which will allow us to see that this kind of surface detail in Maya. So we need to consider our mapping area here. So first of all, let's go into UV map. Now this tells us that our UV map, therefore the texture map it could create from the sculpting we've done, would be effectively what we call a 2K map. That probably is enough for what we need for this. I've worked on projects recently where I've gone probably about as far as 8K, and beyond that it starts to get a little bit silly, so I wouldn't go up there if you can avoid it altogether. I probably would stick maximum for now 2K maps, because again, a 2K map is kind of 4 times the size in terms of pixel data as a 1K map, so you know it's kind of almost like an exponential growth in size of image in terms of file, so you don't want to go too big. Obviously you've got to load the thing up as well. Okay, so 2K is plenty. Now texture map, there isn't one because it's not textured as such in terms of color map, but we can have a displacement map. However, notice that it doesn't actually give us any options. It's blanked everything out, and this can be traced back to the following thing. I'm going to Z plugin. I like to dock this to the side because I like to nip in and out of this, so I dock it there. So if I go to UV master, that's where our UV coordinates or our UV unwrap should have been stored. Well, there's an issue here because there aren't any UV coordinates on this model. Now there should be, because we modeled it in ZBrush, we did an unwrap, we did our UV layout, and then we exported it effectively as an OBJ, so they should be there. But sometimes what can happen is when you go up through subdivision levels, it can lose them, you can throw them out. It shouldn't, but it sometimes can. So there's a bit of a fix you can do, and again, I'm kind of glad that it's done this because you get to see the workaround, because I wouldn't want you to get to this point and then try and follow the next step and it just doesn't work. I'd rather work through it with you. So what you can sometimes do is you can load up. I mean, before doing this, I would always save the pot that you've made or whatever it might be. So you'd go and save as a particular tool. So you give it the name, save it wherever you want to save it. I've already done that for this asset, so I won't do it again. But once you've done that, then come into here, and in your recent sort of files, you probably find your original sort of base pot, something like that. Just click in it, and you should be able to access it again. If you can't, then just import again. Just re-import in your object file, your original object. So this is not the Z tool, this is your original base pot object file. We'll open it up. Now that's dragged it in. You can see it's here. If we go up to here, we should find that it has got mapping coordinates. It certainly should have. Let's have a quick look. It's not giving me an option to flatten them, which is interesting. It should do. Shouldn't need to work on any of these things. I shouldn't need to unwrap it. So test will be as if it will let me go in and actually set any of these things up. So it would. It allows me to have options for displacement mapping. A good test also is if you go into texture map and go to new texture and then go to create and new from UV map, you should see that there is a UV map layout on it because it's got that kind of, there is an error on it. I don't know why we've got that weird line that runs right across it, but it has at least got some mapping coordinates. It's a very strange kind of thing because that is exactly as we unwrapped it. But yeah, it's got a weird line across it. Anyway, never mind. So it has got mapping coordinates. So we know that our original base had mapping coordinates. But of course, this is not our sculpted version. because we've not got any subdivision level. This is our very, very base one. So what we can do is we can copy the UVs of this one we've got in, because it's our original model. We'll copy them. And then what we'll do is we'll load in our pot, which I think has probably got the sculpting on, which could be that one. I don't know. But if we're not sure, we'll load up the tool. That's our one there. Then we should be able to paste UVs down onto it, which I've just done. Okay, so those have been now been pasted down onto it. So that should now have our mapping coordinates on it. A quick check can be to go to flatten. Now the problem is it's not going to let me do that because I've got subdivision levels on there. I don't think even if I go down subdivision levels it'll let me flatten. Yeah, don't worry about that. Basically all that does, it just shows us a flattened version of our UV map, just a test. So the test here is, of course, have we got options in here? We have got them back, which is a good thing. Okay, so I'll go back through that again in case you didn't understand. So again, I imported in the base pot. We know that that has got mapping coordinates on it. It's our original base pot, so we copy them. They're our UVs. We then load up the tool that we saved, which pops in, and we paste our UVs onto it because they're the right UVs for that pot, because it's the original pot that we worked from to develop that. Okay, so now we're going to move down to displacement map, having just checked again that we're working with a 2K texture, which we are, and then we're going to go and add our displacement map. So if you look in here, there's no options in there, but we have got options here which allow for create displacement map. I will click it because I kind of want to do it wrong to prove a point. So I'm going to click it. Okay, so map cannot be created while the highest subdivision level is active. So switch to a lower subdivision level and try again. So what that means is that this displacement map is trying to give us an image map which will take us from a lower resolution version to the look of a higher resolution version. So we can't do a displacement map between the highest resolution and the highest resolution. We have to come down through our resolution. Okay, so I'm going to go into geometry and I'm going to go down through resolution. Shortcut for that, by the way, is Shift and D. D will go up, Shift D will come back down. I've gone down to my lowest subdivision level, and then I'm going to go into displacement map and say, now will you please create me a displacement map, and you can see it's extracted me a map, which you can see has now been added as well. So I'll just turn that on and off. So you can see it's added this displacement map to my low resolution model, and it still looks pretty neat. It doesn't look too bad, does it? So without it and with it. Okay, now we can see the faceting in here. That's because there's no what we call smooth groups turned on in here. But with that map on there, and it's just a picture map, it looks like that. That's what it looks like. That's what we can end up with, and it will look even better than that even in Maya. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, of course, is export this out, which we'll do as follows. Now you can say create and export map immediately, which actually is not a bad idea, if I'm being honest. So I probably would do that. There's other things you can work through, which I'm not going to go too much into now because I think it's going to probably just confuse matters further. But if we start to do even more advanced versions of this, like we need higher resolution versions, then we probably will start to look at 32-bit full float maps. Again, you can try that. It will be much higher resolution, much greater file size, and probably will take a little bit longer to extract the map. Okay, so we may as well use our tool here to create and export map. It's asked me where to save it to. I've got my folder set up there. It's using the base name of the file that I was working with. I'm going to call this pot disp, not dips, disp for displacement map. Now we'll save that one out. So it's saying we've exported the map. Do you want to export out the base mesh as well? Well, there's no need to, because it is effectively my original mesh that we see there. Okay, so there's no need to do that. Okay, so we'll be applying that to our original Maya model. Now what you might of course want to do, which we've already have done, is make sure you have saved a copy of your fully sculpted subdivided version. Just to speak of this, that currently is showing our subdivided version with a displacement map on top of it. So you're getting kind of double the amount of displacement there as well. Okay, so we don't need the displacement on that because that is the original version of things. Okay, so we're not going to be taking that out of here. We're only be taking the original Maya pot file, and we'll be taking our displacement map, and hopefully in Maya we'll get something that looks much more like this high resolution. So what we're talking about is having something which is, in terms of points, is only 391 faces, and making it look like it's got surface detail equivalent to 1.6 million faces. Great saver, a great saver in time in terms of opening the file up, but just in terms of the dealing with the file. You couldn't have 10 of these pots in there, plus a digital sculpt of a head, plus some furniture, plus some windows and doors and all that kind of stuff. If each one of those is up in the millions, you're really going to struggle. So you're trying to be efficient whilst maintaining a high level of detail. So that concludes this video. I'll see you back in Maya.